Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to do something a little different. I had somebody request for me to listen to their own music, asking if I could check out the mixing on it and just kind of hear what I have to say about the composition. He says drums and synths are MIDI since we didn't have resources to them. So this is a Jani Koski or Joni Koski. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I don't know if I'm going to do this kind of thing very often, but, I figure I'll do it once, see how it goes, and, maybe we'll do this more often. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get into this. The song is called Storm, featuring Joni Teppo, or Joni Teppo. So this part has some really heavy compression in it to make it more muted. Yep, that's what I was figuring, and we were going to come in with a less compressed version. Got some blast beats and some tremolo picking. Getting a lot of wall of noise sound going on. Those synths do a good job of filling out some of the extra space. I don't know if that's because of the mix or because of the composition. I'm glad the synth is there, though. I think the song would be, it just wouldn't be as large of a sound as it needed to be for the section. I almost want to say that this part can come down a little bit in the volume. Both of these guitars are very prominent in the mix. More prominent than they were in the section before. I know that you want to give them a little bit more presence, being that they're the focus at that section. I think it was just a little too much, though.
Embrace the storm. Dark clouds will form and rain will cleanse your soul. Embrace the storm, for it will follow wherever you go. Let the rain fall, allow it to cleanse your soul. I will my fire, go to losses, live on slave, renew your life, to wait till your void. Embrace the storm.
I'm really digging this part. All right, so we have Storm. I for saying that that is your first. I think you said it was the first attempt at mixing, or maybe you just more experienced with. What did you say here? Um, Pretty novice. All right, so yeah, the mixing was really good though, especially for being inexperienced, as you stated. Um, the only thing that I really got to me, I think, was like I said, the solos. I think the guitars were mixed a little too high. I know they need to be more present since they are the focus of that section. I think it was just a little bit too loud for my taste. Mixing is all about taste, especially not only just the person who's mixing it and the listener, but also time frame. The mixing from the 80s and the 90s sounds very different than modern mixing. So it's a very subjective thing to begin with. Take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Um, and let's see, the synths I thought could have been a little higher in the mix. They sort of were positioned to fill in some of the soundscape that was missing, and I don't know what was missing from it. But with just the two guitars, the overall sound was a little weak. I don't know if I didn't see a bass, and you said that the drums and synth were MIDI, um, and I don't think I really heard much of a bass, and that might be a little bit of where the sound width is missing. Um, I don't know if that's a decision that you guys made, or maybe I just didn't pick up on it. But I really didn't hear much of a bass presence, and it kind of takes away some of the floor to the song. It's missing a foundation to be built upon. Um, Aside from that, though, the writing for the guitars and the vocals and the drums is all really solid. It is I mean, if this is the first thing you've written, I didn't really look too hard, but you have a lot of covers. Well, I guess it's not the first thing you're in because you have at least another song here, at least two more songs. But still, it's a fairly good song for first time writing, first album, so to speak. It definitely has a lot of the elements of melodic death metal that I mean, that's what you self described it as. The only thing that I would really say it needs is maybe a little bit more of yourself injected into it. And I think you did that at the end when you had the double clean vocals doing the little duet with the high and the low and bringing all that in with the majesticness of the synths and kind of bringing the guitars into the higher range. Um, I think that you really should explore more. The rest of the song, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. It has more of a generic feel. It has less of a mature feel, which is fine. Like I said, this is more or less your first album. It's probably going to sound very influenced by your influences. You haven't really had the time to put music out and really find out, who you are as a composer and a musician. You find that out after your first couple of albums, because your first few albums, I guess your first couple of albums, your first few songs, especially, you're just trying to get the music out there. Finishing music is the hardest thing you can do, and the fact that you have music out there that's finished, mastered, out for people to listen to is like the first biggest step. It doesn't matter if it sounds like anything else out there or if it sounds completely brand new. You've done the hard part first. now it now it's time to really develop your style of this music. And like I said, I think the ending was a showcase of that. I think if you can interweave that with the more traditional um, guttural vocals and the heavy guitar work, I think you're going to find something very unique that only you can bring to the genre. Um, I do implore, if you can, I know you said you didn't have access to it, but to find a drummer, um, or maybe even if they can't be live, to have somebody at least write the drum parts for you, because they seemed very utilitarian. Um, they did a great job of keeping the beat, and there were a couple of nice flourishes in there, but for the most part, they were just there to keep the beat. There weren't really many drum fills or anything that I would say was impressive. And again, please don't take that the wrong way. I'm not here trying to bash it, I'm just trying to criticize it and make your work the best that it can be. Constructive criticism here. Um, but the drum parts definitely feel like drum parts written by a guitarist. Again, don't take that the wrong way. I'm in the same boat. I'm not very good at writing drum parts. It takes a very different type of mind to write that than the melodic and note based approach of writing guitar work and lyric work and synthesizers and orchestral work, bass, whatever. Drums are just a very different beast, and you can usually tell when somebody isn't quite versed in drumming. And I think if you can get a good drummer to really put a drummer's mind into the drumming composition, you're going to find that it really elevates the song. So I guess that's what I have to say here about your song Storm, Mr. Jani or Jani. I wish I could. Mr. Koski. We're going to say that. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong too. Um, but yeah, so that'd be my main criticisms, is to kind of bring the bass up in the mix, and if it's not present, to put a bass in there, even if it's a MIDI bass. Well, not a MIDI bass, but a sampled bass. I would go ahead and just put a bass line in there, even if it's not too intricate, just because you need that floor. I would look at the mixing during the solo, and for the chorus, and kind of see if you can level those out. Not the chorus, the choir, the orchestra. That's what it is. The synthesized orchestra. And then work on the drum bits. Even if you can't find a drummer, I would start listening to more complex drummers out there. Find some bands that have. You don't need to go like 100% super technical like Meshuggah. You don't need to get ridiculously polyrhythmic like that. But just a couple of simple drum fills would really elevate it, and yeah, the drumming needs a little bit of work. But I mean, as far you asked specifically about the mixing, and like I said, the mixing is really well done for someone who says that they're a novice at it. Mixing is really really hard to do, and it comes off really well done. I'm sure somebody who is more of an engineer could point out some of the more the nuances. My field is more composition than mixing. I can usually tell when something's out of place, but I can't really tell when it's like those little micro changes that you need to make to change it from great to excellent. I can tell you the difference between mediocre and great, but I'm not going to be able to get your music to excellent. Um, yeah, it's like I said, it's a strong song, especially for one of your first ones written. I think it shows a lot of promise. I think you're going to be a really good musician and write some pretty good music if you stay on the track and continue to improve yourself. All right. So anyone in the comments, I guess if you watched this far, that's awesome. And if you have any thoughts for Mr. Koski, that would be pretty cool. Just keep it all, constructive. No reason to tear people down here. Music is art, music's subjective, and music is a place of celebration. We don't need to be tearing each other down. So if you have comments otherwise, if you liked this, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell and thumbs up. And also let me know if you want me to do more of this. I know I'm not exactly an instructor or someone who's out here trying to teach, but I don't mind putting some of my thoughts and opinions about music composition and kind of giving it to up and coming artists who need a little bit of direction. I don't mind doing that every once in a while. So, if this is something you'd like to see more of, we can go ahead and we can do a little bit more of this. Otherwise, let me know that you're here for reactions to mainstream-ish, I guess not mainstream, but popular music. Stuff, record label based stuff that's already out there, not up and coming bands. And I guess we'll keep on track with that if that's the general opinion of the viewers. But that's all I have to say today. Until next time, I will see you all, and you all have a fantastic day.